Books to Life Marketing. The team making it all possible, they specialize in helping authors bring their stories to life through expert publishing, marketing, and media exposure. They're behind some of the most inspiring authors' journeys we've seen. If you're an author looking to elevate your book, Books to Life Marketing is the partner you want in your corner. And our guest today is Ann Ward Crocker. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yes, Ann Ward Crocker is our guest, and she is the author of Close Friends Cathedral Adventure. I really appreciate you coming by, and a little bit of a book description of this is: a toad and an earthworm are inadvertently taken to Washington National Cathedral, where their woodland plant friends destined to become a wildflower display during an annual festival of flowers. The toad is discovered and left outside. I don't want to give up any more, but that sounds really interesting. So tell me, why did you decide, what inspired you to write the book?
The fact that I had a toad in a plant, it was an unusual experience to say the least. And normally I would never pick them up, but I had no choice. I couldn't take him into the cathedral, so I left him outside. But then, of course, I couldn't find him when we got ready to leave. But he haunted me for a year, and I thought it was a good story, or I could make a story out of it. So that was my inspiration.
All right, so that's a pretty interesting inspiration, to say the least, of deciding to write a book. And this is not your first book, is it?
No, I've written a cook or compiled a cookbook for the. I wrote a recipe column for the local paper in Herndon, Virginia, and I had amassed all these recipes that were not mine. But I decided before I retired from that I would put them in a cookbook, which I had experienced because I worked as a home economist for the Washington Gas Light Company, and we made cookbooks, so that was a no-brainer.
So writing this book, how long did it take you to write?
40 years. Yeah, because I took a class because I've never done anything like this, but I thought, I had the opportunity to take a class at the local community college, and I got the toad and the earthworm out of the town of Herndon, but I didn't get them to the cathedral, and of course that was the whole point of the story. So I put him in and collected the information on them in a box over the years. And then when I turned 88, I'm almost 96 now, I decided I ought to finish up all these loose ends and finish the story here in the retirement home. And the rest, as they say, is history.
Wow. Okay, so 40 years in the making. All right.
Yeah,
And
at least, yeah.
so what do you think was the biggest challenge writing the book?
Uh, the computer. Because when I started, I was on onion skin and carbon paper and a portable typewriter that I'd used in college, and trying to deal with, because everything nowadays is by computer. You don't go. Very few people I see face to face. I'm glad to see your face. Anyway, that's it.
I got it.
That was
Okay.
my challenge, and it still is.
How did you learn the computer later in life?
Well, uh, I took classes at the community college. We were fortunate to live close to the Northern Virginia Community College, and my husband worked for IBM, so I mean it was inevitable. And then I was secretary of an organization, and they went to the computer, and so I figured I had to learn it. Plus the fact I'm a genealogist, and the people I was working with said you've got to get all this on a computer. So that was in 1990. Here we are.
So, okay, in 1990. All right. So you talked about the computer being the biggest challenge. Then the process of finally getting the book together. Tell
Well,
us,
it
yeah.
kind of put itself together because I knew I had this toad and I had this worm and I had the plant. But at the cathedral, they were separated, but they were friends. So I had to get them together and I had to get them a new home because their home, where we dug them up, was scheduled for a housing development. So, and that's typical of today's situations. And so, anyway, and there's a beautiful woods on the other side of the cathedral. And incidentally, the grounds of the cathedral are called is a close, and that's the close in Close Friends. Really refers to the cathedral close,
Yeah.
as well as close being together. So,
No,
anyway,
no, absolutely. It's when you hear about it and you say to yourself, okay, so is this a children's book or is this more of
well,
a
yeah, basically. However, some of my friends said this is not a children's book, and then others say, well, it's one that grandparents would read their grandchildren, and so it's for everybody because it's about friendship, basically, and friendship, as I look back over the years, is a very, very important part of life.
All right, we're going to talk a little bit about this, but then we're going to highlight your life and looking at specifically how the book relates to your life in so many ways. You know, you're talking about frogs and toads, but then everyone wants to know how, you know, your brain is still going at 96 and you're smart as a tack and you
Well,
understand
thank
things
you.
still.
Not
It's
everybody would agree on that one.
well, okay. I mean, but you know, when you see these people that are in their 50s forgetting completely, you know, that you've definitely lived a long life and an exciting life. So let's talk about Ann Ward, you know,
It's Crocker like Betty Crocker.
Crocker's life. Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's talk. Are you are related to Betty Crocker? Or is,
Well, I had a sister, Betty, but of course her last name wasn't Crocker. But because I worked with food and was a professional home economist in the beginning, I was often equated with the Crocker of the media. However, it's just been I autographed Betty Crocker cookbooks and Betty's sister, and that's not. But she rest in peace. She's gone now, but I had fun with that.
I got
Um,
it. Okay. So basically your career started, did you go to college? And
yeah, I was and that's when I first got to the cathedral because, and an Episcopalian, and the Canterbury Club there would take busloads of us to the cathedral, which was only a very small part of it had been built in the late 40s, and we sat on the steps of the um, apse and heard great speakers. And then I lived near there. I lived in Washington for 10 years, so and near fairly close to the cathedral, so I could watch it being built. And that was fascinating to see those stonemasons because they had a little white building out in the yard, and you could watch through an open window how they were doing those gargoyles and different things. Oh, it was
interesting.
anyway.
No, no, it's absolutely interesting. So that basically your college days has to do with the cathedral. So where'd you go to college?
No, no, really. University of Maryland, but I only got to the cathedral once or well, maybe four times the whole time I was in college. Because as I say, it wasn't. We would have. Um, so where I was. Now see, there you go. That's an old age thing. We would have not conferences, but
That's okay. No, I just so
anyway, I got there and a number of times, and then it was just a great place to visit. Just a great place to visit and go to church. When they were first when they were. I'm talking too much.
that's
I
perfect. No, that's a good thing you're talking too much. That's exactly what we want to get this information out of your story. So basically the cathedral, that's where you got the idea of the cathedral when you're at the University of Maryland, then, correct?
Well, that was when I was first introduced to it, yes. But I've been there many, many times since because I've been active in the church and we had conferences there, and I've spent the night several weekends there over my lifetime.
Okay, so the
So,
cathedral is a very, very important place. But I want to just go back to your
indeed, indeed.
You go back to University of Maryland. What did you major for in University of Maryland?
Nutrition and dietetics.
Hmm.
Food.
And see, but it was very interesting. Nutrition. So you were going to be a dietitian at one point.
Yes, but the only um, option open to me for an internship was to join the Army and go to Fort Hood, Texas. And my mother was seriously ill, and I could not go to Texas. So Marriott hired me before I even graduated. So I went with them. So,
Yeah, and then so did you graduate?
oh, yeah.
Uh,
Oh, yeah. I finished what I started. It might take me 40 years, but I do finish what I start.
Now let's talk about. I mean, so you got hired by Marriott. Is that what you
Yeah,
said? Okay.
right before, as I said before, and I was actually manager of a small cafeteria downtown. But that year, when you're 21 and you have to work every weekend and every holiday, it is not the best career to be in. So I resigned after a year, and they wanted to know why, and I told them that I had to go to church, and that for the Marriotts is important because, of course, they're more Mormon and church is very important to the Mormon. So they put me in the office 9 to 5 job, and that was changed my life. And I met my husband, and that
So
was
you met your
great.
husband. So tell us a story about meeting your husband at
Well, he
the.
sat down and when I lived in the Wesley Heights part of D.C., the bus was near American University, and we were the first people to get on it. And every morning, the same gentleman would get on with their briefcases and time and sit in the same seats, and you did not sit in their seats. So I knew that I was relegated to the back. Well, my husband to be would look like one of them with the briefcase, so I didn't pay any attention. But one morning he sat down beside me, and the rest, as they say, is history. I met him on the bus.
Oh wow. Okay, and how old were you then? You said you were working for
Oh, you
Marriott.
know, I was so 23, I guess, when I met
Mhm.
him.
Did
Yeah.
you continue to be at Marriott after you met him?
Oh, well, yeah, I lasted 4 years. But there again, well, there were extenuating circumstances in where I was living. And took a summer off to be a Girl Scout counselor in a camp in Massachusetts for a friend. And that's where I learned a lot of the nature things that I enjoy because it was a great place to be. And then I went with the Washington Gas Light Company, and that was like play compared to Marriott. So shouldn't say that out loud, but
Oh my gosh. Wow. Interesting. Okay, so let's dive deeper into this because this is just really some intriguing stuff. Um, because it's fascinating. So you basically, the cathedral is really the backdrop of the story where you continue to visit it.
sure.
So you guess you lived in the area of Maryland your whole life then if
No,
you
I never lived in Maryland except at college. I lived in Virginia after, well, I lived in the district until we got married. And then we got an apartment because both of us were commuting at that point.
Mhm.
And we got an apartment in Arlington, and then we moved to Herndon. We bought a house in Herndon for $17,000
Got it. But how
on the
far were
GI
how
Bill
far were you from the cathedral from where you lived?
in DC, about 2 miles.
Okay, so the University of Maryland wasn't that close to the cathedral then.
No, Maryland, University of Maryland is a good half hour, 45-minute bus ride, or I never rode.
But you lived
If
you
I wasn't
but
in a
once you
car, yeah.
moved to DC, you became really close to the cathedral.
Yes, yeah, because that's when I lived near the cathedral. Yes,
Oh wow. So it's really interesting to know based on the wanting to write why you wrote the book to think about ultimately the reason is because the cathedral just always just is part of your life.
absolutely, yes.
Okay, so how did it become more of your life, the cathedral? Like you
Well,
said, did you say you only in college you only visited 4 times, But let's
No,
talk.
no, we would, the cathedral has all kinds of activity, or well, they had a great gift shop. We never, I shopped in every Christmas, and then go to a service now and then concerts. They had a great chorus, and I sang in the chorus of the church I was going to there, and knew people in that. So it was just logical that you availed yourself of the opportunity.
Yeah, that opportunity is an exciting opportunity.
Oh,
That's for sure.
I avail myself of most opportunities, I'll tell you.
All right, so talk about your biggest highlights of your career. You said because you're a
Uh,
journalist and stuff like that in certain ways.
my main career was wife and mother. Uh, we lost two children.
Oh,
We
I'm
had a
sorry.
child that was born dead, and
Oh,
another child that died of brain cancer at age 3.
oh
And
man.
so we got a late start, but all during the 60s, I was having children and raising them. It's and I made sure the dinner was on the table every night at 6:30, and I expected them to be there, which they they usually were, and except when the soccer and all that team things got in
Mm.
when they grew older. But um, no, but I volunteered for a lot of things, so you name it, I've probably had a hand in it.
All right. So volunteer always going. That's you.
Always, oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. Life is an all-you-can-eat buffet, I'll tell you, and most people are starving. So
So tell me how just to keep that attitude at 96. What keeps you going?
the same that it would did when I was losing the babies. You have to maintain a positive and upbeat attitude, and that yeah, how you endure is much more important than that which must be endured.
Do
So
you think it has a lot to do with your faith that keeps you going? What would you say? Your faith, Anne?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I was.
Yeah, yeah. I was going to ask you the question is, do you feel that your faith has a lot to what keeps you
Oh,
going
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, yes.
ultimately?
Was then and still is. Now that I'm closer, it's changed a little, but no. But I've always mixed nature with religion too. That's something that I've always felt strongly about. That um, it's all one. It's all God's world.
Exactly. So, what ultimately at 96, seeing where the world is today? That's my
I'm
question for you.
horrified, absolutely horrified, and I
Okay.
really am. It's
Give
just
me the reasons why you're horrified.
well, first I watch all of the nature shows on TV, so I don't watch much fiction. I watch
Yeah.
mostly nonfiction, and all of the methane explosions in the tundra and the melting of the ice, and people denying it, and people have gotten a lot less civil than they used to be, I think. Um, and of course religion doesn't pay is not as strong as it used to be, I don't think. So,
So it's hard to see this in your 96 years, seeing those things. What about the evolution of things like AI? What are your thoughts about that?
there again, I'm hard. Now, that's one thing we have here. We have a lifelong learning program, and we did take a number of sessions explaining AI and the, what is it? There again, I keep saying,
ChatGPT?
oh, well, we won't go into chat. Yeah, I've been tempted to ask him a question, but um, I, and I know people that have. I belong to a poetry and prose group here, and one gentleman asked the Chat GPT to write a sonnet that had a spring theme, and darn if it didn't, and he didn't tell us, and it was a pretty good sonnet. So
Uh,
I know what it can do. However, I have friends that are college professors, and it really is. It's they think
Let-
it's
Let's
not
talk.
good.
Let's talk about the book. It's a little bit for a little bit older children, and the frogs and toads. So people in nature are going to enjoy this. And in the book, do you highlight a lot of the Washington National Cathedral in certain ways in the story?
Yeah, well, I mean, I had to, as I say, I had to get the plants together with the toad, and which meant a tour through the cathedral, a very limited tour, obviously, but um, you have to see how he did it to read the book. But I got him there with the addition of another character. Uh,
All right. Best place we can find information. This is such a pleasure. And what's the best place you can pick up your book and learn more about the book? Where can
well,
we go?
I guess Amazon.
All right, so
Uh,
we can pick up your book on Amazon. So
yeah,
that's
I think so. Yes. Mhm.
okay. And the title of the book again is Close Friends, Cathedral of Adventure, correct?
Correct.
All right. We really appreciate it, Anne. Is another book in the works?
Heavens no. I've got two other projects that I've got to finish the genealogy for one thing. I've got 40 archival boxes of letters. Our family wrote letters and they're priceless. Of course, nobody can read them. The modern
You should take
generation,
the finish of the archive and make it a book.
no, 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 no. I also like to do art. So,
Okay.
anyway, I
Well,
got to
okay. Well, thank you again, Anne, for coming by.
thank you.
Take care. And your website is annwardcrocker.com.
Right.
Appreciate it. Thanks again.
Thank you.
All right.